Let's see.
We are live.
Cool. Welcome to
Yeah, we're
another
live.
Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. Everyone, we are so excited to be here because this is another pet parent edition, and we have Leslie and Puccini with us today, which I'm so excited because I've known them for years and years and years, as she's up in New York and we are down in Georgia. But when I was in the Northeast, I definitely knew Puccini and I knew Leslie, just being in the same crowd and everything. But it's finally, I get a chance to talk to her. So I'm so excited and I can't wait. But everyone, I'm just rattling on. Please, Dr. Bryant,
Oh, no.
introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian and I'm working in the airline industry. I work with Delta Airlines and I really enjoy my position there. I was brought on staff to help review and revise policies for animal transportation. And within that role, I started to notice, it's definitely for pet travel, that there was a big need on pet travel education. A lot more than what, say, Dr. Google would give you, or just saying you need a document, you need a health certificate, you need a crate, and then you travel. There's a lot of in between information you need to realize and understand to get your pet prepared for air travel. So that was the start, you could say, of When Pets Fly. As far as, I started a Facebook page for that, right during the pandemic, and I would just share information regarding that. And since that time, Greta has joined me, and we have just kind of, I feel we've blown up personally. We went from just having, like initial Facebook group or something like that, well, I'm sorry, we had a Facebook group. We have the Facebook page as well. We are on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn now, and we have a website as well. If you want to go there, it's a website that is Greta has put up on the screen, winpets.com. You can go there and find valuable information. You'll find our Facebook Live events that we've been giving. I'm running out of time. I can't remember how long, but it's been over 2 years now that we've been doing them. So if you look through, you can scroll back to the beginning and see, you can see our fumbles where we were tongue tied and nervous. And now we're like, whatever, we're just going to be ourselves and have fun. But again, that's me. Greta, introduce yourself, because again, you're a strong part of what we do as far as When Pets Fly, and I can't do it without you. So please introduce yourself.
My name is, I was going to say Greta Bryant, but
No,
my name is Greta Russo.
people probably think we're looking like that. No, we're not related. We're just good friends. It just turned out to be really good friends. And we were introduced by Nancy Hassel. I have to say that. A big shout out to Nancy. Thank you for introducing me to Greta. Go ahead.
Yes, and we've got another Nancy Haskell friend that's coming on. So
Yep.
it's almost like she's the connector to everyone.
Yep.
But I am Greta Russo, and I do marketing, PR, and events, just like Nancy. And that's actually how we got introduced to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with Dr. Bryant for a little over 2 years. I want to say it's 3, but I don't even keep count anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been a wonderful journey, helping Dr. Bryant build When Pets Fly. We started out really focused on pet parents and everything they should know in traveling with their pets, because there's so much information that's not shared. But as we started going down this road, we discovered there's so many other facets that touch on to this, that now we're pivoting into animal transportation and sharing all information, keeping in mind our initial audience, which is pet parents, and but definitely even the other information that we have still translates to them. So it's been a great journey in everything that I'm learning and all of the people we're coming across. But for me as a pet parent, and Dr. Bryant is a pet parent, we definitely keep them focused in mind. So we love today's episode, which is another edition of Pet Parent Tales, and so we get to bring on, I want to say, a famous pet parent and her pooch. Leslie and Puccini, and they are always on the go. I love reading about their adventures and everything that they do. And so it's great to have pet parents on like that, Dr. Bryant, that can share real world experience and what helps them. Because even though you can talk from, the airport and airline side of things, I think it's important that our audience hear from pet parents that are doing it and what's working and what's not.
Right. Oh, no, that's awesome. I think so, too, because, again, it's a perspective. I'll be honest. I mean, yes, I see a perspective of going by cargo and on the outside what to do to improve it, but I'm not going through the initial steps myself. My dogs are too big to go in cabin. And so I'll never be able to share my personal experience to assist you with that process. So It's great to have our pet owners that are actually doing it and come on and share some tips with you guys, because I think it'd be really helpful for everyone to know. So it could be something as basic as get to the airport at such and such time, make sure they go for a good walk and, relieve themselves, all these different things, where to find the service animal relief areas within the airports. So these are things that our pet owners can share. And I love it that Leslie and Puccini is here to do that for us today.
We'll have to find a pet parent with a larger dog. I'm wondering if there are any that travel on planes with their dogs. And I think for the majority, they probably drive with them. But I would love to get a guest with a large dog to come on and talk with us.
We're going to have Stephen Mays coming soon. He's going to talk about his traveling with his service dog, I believe. So we'll have that very soon. So, but going by cargo, we don't really have anyone there. And I could probably find some folks that I know that have traveled in the recent past with their pets by cargo, and just have them provide little tips. But I think that would be helpful for everyone. Or for those that are listening and you want to share that information with us, hey, reach out to me through my email address. Is drbryant@winpets.com. And send me an email, and maybe we can get you on one of our programs here, and you can share your information to help everyone else that's going to go through that process.
Right. Absolutely. Our website also has a bunch of videos that from pet parents around the world that give tips on traveling with their dogs and everything. So those are great tales. But if I think about it, all those videos have smaller dogs. So, but they still have some great tips. And what I love is they have viewpoints from different parts of the world other than the United States. So that's always interesting to watch. If anybody wants to go to the site and check out those videos on winpets.com. So, well, Leslie and Puccini, as I mentioned, they are very versed in traveling, so they'll get to share past trips as well as future trips coming up. And I'm so excited to hear about that, that she is have been to so many states within the U.S. as well as so many countries outside of the U.S. So it's not just once and done, but they are, they should probably have their own seat and area in the airplane and airport called the Leslie and Puccini VIP section. So, but yes. So Dr. Bryant, and just to let everybody know, next week, Dr. Bryant and I are kind of stepping out on faith, and we are going to the White Label Expo in Las Vegas. And the reason why we're going to that is we want to talk to some of the pet industry stakeholders that are there and talk to them about crates and the safety of crates, and more importantly, the marketing behind crates. So I know Dr. Bryant has discussed this so many times with everyone here, but it's so important that we keep stressing everyone should be purchasing a crate that is IATA compliant. And there's not many out there. There's lots of crates saying they are airline compliant. That's not the words you want to look for. The words you want to look for are
Right.
IATA compliant. Dr. Bryant, can you
Most
just
airlines, yeah, definitely. Thanks.
could you give a couple
Most
examples?
airlines,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
a brand. Well, let me just make one statement before I start. Most airlines commercial airlines comply with IATA, the International Air Transport Association, their live animal regulations. So most commercial airliners comply with those regulations when transporting live animals. And if you say airline compliant, really, it should be compliant with IATA compliant as far as that. Again, since the airlines are supposed to comply with those regulations. What I've learned and what I'm going to do at this presentation is, or to this expo, I'm sorry, during the expo, I'm going to give a presentation. My presentation is really going to show what's out there on the commercial market as far as saying airline compliant and kind of give an idea where did this all come from. And I think it's based upon USDA's Animal Welfare Act regulations, which, hate to say it, was written back in 1966. And I'm going to date myself. That's when I was born, the year I was born. So it's been out there for a good long time, and they have not updated it since that time frame. So the specification on these crates are vague. They'll say they must have ample ventilation. Well, guess what? IATA will tell you how much ventilation is needed. They'll tell you the sizing. A lot of these crates go by the weight of the animal. Well, actually, the crate size is based upon the height, length, and width of your pet, not their weight, because you can put 20 pounds at 5 inches and 20 pounds at, say, 12 inches of height. There's a big difference between those two pets. So either way, it's based upon, as far as the crate sizing, should be based upon your length, width, and height of your pet, not its weight. So a lot of these features that airline compliant crates say that are, supposed to be airline compliant are based upon regulations that are vague and outdated. Current information can be found with IATA. That's why it should be an IATA compliant crate that you're looking for and everything. So that's what I'm going to bring up during the presentation and expo and exhibit upon that. So yeah, I'm so excited about it. I'm excited because I'm actually putting myself out there with this because I don't know if you guys know, deep down I am a shy person, but I really feel strongly about this, and I think we're gonna have a great time next week.
Absolutely. Well, it is that time for us to bring on Leslie and Puccini. So let's bring them in and welcome them to the excitement. Well, hello. How are you two there?
Hey, we're so good. Of course, you see I have incentive here for the big boy.
Very, very good.
The big 6-pounder.
Well, please, I'm so excited to be here. And I mean, you said it a little bit beforehand, but I'm excited that Puccini, I cannot believe we're 16 years old. He's 16. Amazing.
I know, he should be a representative for the seniors.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The AARP mascot.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm a big pusher of teeth brushing. So everybody brush your baby's teeth every night.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to read your bio, and then we will get started with having our discussion. So I'm excited to let everyone know a little bit about Leslie and Puccini. So Leslie and Puccini have the travel bug because 2 weeks after graduating from TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, Leslie moved to New York City and began her life in showbiz and shoebiz. Leslie was crowned Queen of the Tiny Tots at age 3. She went on to become a junior Miss Texas teen, finalist for Miss Texas, Cosmos soccer team cheerleader, traveled the world with Broadway shows, staged, coached, and recruited for the Miss Hawaiian Tropic pageant for 10 years, traveled the U.S. judging dance and modeling competitions. Leslie danced with the Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall, served on the board for the Rockette alumni. And then Puccini was born to be a star. He is so good with children and senior citizens and enjoys bringing smiles to their faces. He is invited everywhere because of his amazing behavior and has worked with Alzheimer's and cancer patients.
Oh.
Puccini has modeled for the Fashion Institute's spring fashion shows, won the Hudson River Pet Paradise, I'm sorry, has won the Hudson River Pet Parade's Best Trick Award out of 87 dogs, modeled for celebrity catwalk fundraisers, was in the Ladies' Home Journal, won Mr. International, won the most photogenic pup from the Society Paws of New York City, and won the Hamptons Barking Beauty Pageant, most photogenic and People's Pup Awards. Puccini has wowed audiences as Toto in The Wiz, and was even flown to Los Angeles to audition for a new television show. Puccini has performed for the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation and for the Rockette alumni at Radio City Music Hall. He was the ambassador for 21 Bays Pups, the mascot for Paddle for the Cure, and fit model for Chewy.com. Fit model. That's funny.
Yeah.
He was chosen the top dog for America's Top Dog Models and has walked the runway during New York's Fashion Week and recently traveled to Paris for Paris Fashion Week. Puccini has modeled for calendars, fashion books, and a coloring book. Puccini's most recent appearance was on Poker Face Playing, Tim Meadows, and Ellen Barkin's dog. Puccini is a model for a Pet with Paws carry bags. He just directed and modeled for the Funari Green Gala runway show. Everyone, please help us welcome the multi-talented Leslie and Puccini.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like
that
mom,
was
like
cool, Greta. Ooh, that's a lot to say.
Yes. But you guys have accomplished so much.
Yeah.
Well, his 16 years and my whatever years, that's a lot.
Well, I apologize. I thought it was so funny that Puccini was a model, not a model, a bodybuilder, and I was thinking to myself, so. Well, we have some Facebook friends that have made some statements.
Mhm.
So Rick Barron says, we love Leslie and Puccini. And then we have, let's see.
Oh, Darlene, she was one of my Rockette buddies.
Oh, that's great.
We have a lot of Rockettes with doggies, so that could be a whole nother segment.
That's so true.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Dogs.
Absolutely. So it's such a pleasure to have you here. I know that the New York crowd is a huge crowd as far as, well, New York in general. I just love, for me, New York has to be ranked #1 for pet parents and legislation working to have a more humane state. So I really have to applaud New York for doing that and all of the passionate pet parents that live there. Now, let's see, Leslie, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and Puccini and how you guys took over the pet parent world as celebrities.
Well, I think part of that has to do with my background. So being in showbiz for so many years, I kind of transferred it over to him. So I started teaching him tricks when he was a little guy. And I was working at a French shoe designer's showroom in Soho at the time. And he said to me, I am not having a dog in my showroom. You know, we have shoes everywhere. And I said, okay. He was off to France. So I said, give me a couple of weeks. And when you get back, he'll be super trained dog. He said, I dat that Leesley. So anyway, off he went. And I started working on him every day at work. As soon as he ate, then 5 minutes later, you put him on the wee pad and praise him with these type of little teeny weeny freeze-dried goodies. And it's amazing how fast he learned. He learned all his commands. I taught him sign language. So when I didn't want to speak or was in a quiet space, I didn't have to, I could just do this for sit. Well, he knows all his sign language are down and, pirouettes and all that kind of fun stuff. So it was important, if I wanted to travel and I wanted to have him at work, that you have a well-trained baby.
Yeah. And, it's so important because it's not just about having a well-trained child. It's about, there's not enough, it's not normalized for pets to be everywhere where humans are. Right. As you go out in the public. So every time you see a pet and a parent, you are almost like the representative for all pet parents out in public with your pet.
Absolutely.
So, if you mess up, if your dog, has a bad day, and growls, now all of a sudden all pets are judged on that. Yes. If your pet has an accident, and then more importantly, you don't clean it up, now all pet parents and pets are judged on that. And people falsely react to, punish everyone for maybe what one person or one pet has done. So,
yes.
Until we get everybody to accept that, it's great to have our pets with us in the public. We always have to be on our best behavior, and that starts with training at home and making sure our pets, how to behave appropriately out in public.
Yes, absolutely. It's just like your children. If you don't teach your children early, no one's going to be happy down the road. And I just say take 2 weeks, 1 month out of your life and just every day work on them. And then it's good for their entire life.
Yeah.
Of course, I reinforce it still daily. I praise him when he uses his wee pad, when he sits nice or acts great in public. He always gets a little praise and reward. I never stop that, and I talk to him like a human. So I'm a big believer in that.
Our conversation we had a couple weeks back with Beth Miller talking about the pet-friendly environments. She's basically our expert on it, really with pet-friendly environments, what have you. But it comes from responsible pet ownership is the main thing. It's a big responsibility, and everyone would love to have their pets with them, but you have to train them. You can't just assume that they're going to just be perfect. You have to work on it with them. And as you're saying, you're taking weeks or months at a time, and actually after that, continually to build that and everything is really important. Look, and I'll admit mine personally, because someone recently was asking me to do a presentation for them, and they said, "Oh, can you bring your dog with you?" And I said, "I'm going to be honest with you, my dogs." They're not trained like that, okay? I'm bad, okay? I have my pets, they're sweet at home, but out in public, no, I couldn't do it. So I doing that,
Well, I was sort of threatened, and I didn't want to leave him with a babysitter every day or a kennel or whatever. So I said, all right, I can do this. And I did it all at work too. So that was
well, that's great. And we, as pet parents, we have to understand our pets' limitations. Not all pets want to go outside, no matter how cute they look in that sweater vest. They don't. Some just don't want that much. They might have social anxiety,
right?
Or you never know. And even with taking them outside, sometimes it's not just a throwing them into the outside world. You got to gradually do everything with pets, gradually
Yes.
train them how to go in the car, gradually how to be in a crate, and gradually how to be around, others. Some like
Yes.
people just can't be forced to do that naturally.
Right.
So,
Exactly. It's like this little guy, we live on the 37th floor, and our balcony, we have a nice little balcony, and I'll open it up in the winter and he's like, nope, not going out there today. Let's go to the wee pad. He doesn't like
oh,
winter.
that's
He's not a big fan of winter.
Wow.
and a lot of pets aren't. I think the smaller ones don't like winter, but the bigger ones like it.
Yes, absolutely. All my big dog friends love it. They
What
roll
about
around in the
rain?
snow, They're like,
Look, what about
"Hey."
rain? You know how dogs and rain. I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
dealt with that, Greta. Rain and dogs. You have some that love the
Yeah.
rain, and the others that are just like hate it, and they won't go
Right.
out in the rain. Mine, you have to force them out the house to go, for the rain. So they're
I
really
love
funny.
those umbrellas. Have you seen them?
Yeah, I have seen
They're
them.
open this way so you
Mhm.
can cover your dog with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
guess what?
Hysterical.
You got to train them to that because some dogs are head shy and get nervous. They don't know what it is.
Yes.
So everything when it comes to your dogs, even those umbrellas or even wearing sweaters. Greta and I remember we were talking about harnesses for another situation. Article we're writing. Harnesses. You got to get them accustomed to that. Everything you do with your pet, you got to go through a training period with them to get them
Yes,
accustomed to it,
absolutely.
because it's not as simple as do it and they'll be fine, because they're nervous. They're nervous.
Yes.
Well, my jet-setting friend, why don't you tell us about your recent trip to Paris Fashion Week and getting Puccini's pet passport?
Ah, that was fun and anxiety ridden. How's that for a good combination?
Ah,
So, going overseas, you need your USDA paperwork done
mhm,
by
Mhm.
your accredited
mhm.
veterinarian. I know you guys have talked all about that,
Yes.
which is so important to do prior to leaving. So you need to do a lot of research on your countries and where you're going to see what their rules are. So my vet, she did all the paperwork for me, and I have a good friend, and she called every single veterinarian in Paris to see which one spoke English and was accredited. So she found one near where we were staying, and we did the show, everything finished. And before we came back, we had made an appointment, and we went over to see. If anyone wants this information, I'll be happy to send it to you. But he is official now.
That's excellent.
Yeah, he's official.
Wow.
So you have to bring a
Oh,
photo with
How
you.
cute. Mhm.
You're right.
That's great.
Yes, and he's got his first entry now up here, which
Look at
is
him.
great.
Mhm.
All stamped, and he's official. Gotta love that. And then each time you go back to Europe, you get a stamp that they will put on here for you.
Oh my gosh. And they stamp it in customs, just like yours?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Actually, I think it's a little stamp that they'll put right here for the next one, which we're going to Italy
Okay.
in 2 weeks. I'm so excited.
Oh
You
my
going where?
gosh.
Going where?
But
I'm sorry.
this vet had to be the nicest veterinarian I have ever met in my life. His dad had owned the practice prior to him, and then he took it over, and he was so sweet and so good to the dogs. He held them and he examined them while he was holding them, and then did all their work. He made them very comfortable, because this little guy over here, as soon as he sees a white jacket, he starts shaking like a leaf.
Oh,
He's had all
yeah.
the vaccines and surgeries here and there, so he knows.
Mhm.
Oh, white jacket! Ah,
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
So,
You know what? I want to make a comment on that. If you don't mind,
yeah,
make a comment about someone made about there. It said, "Oh, this one client, pet owner, said to me that you guys must do something to these pets to make them scared. That's why they get so nervous coming to the veterinarian. I said, well, sir, when you go to the doctor, you get poked and prodded too, don't you?
Yes,
Don't you get
absolutely.
a little nervous? It's not like we're purposely trying to hurt an animal, but unfortunately, some things we do, vaccines, by a needle, blood work,
Yes.
you got to use
I know a lot of
to
humans
feel
that they get
Well,
major anxiety and need to take a
yeah,
Xanax
so
before they go to their
but
doctor's
it was
office.
amazing to me that the gentleman thought that we were purposely doing stuff to animals, and what we were doing is just so foreign. He's like, don't you go through the similar things? We're just
Right.
more accustomed to it.
Yes.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's how it goes. So
Yes.
sorry that Puccini gets nervous. We don't
Yeah.
purposely try to hurt anyone. We're just trying to do our job and take care of them. And you, as a pet owner, I'm really proud to hear that he's 16. I'm proud to hear that you definitely into dental cleaning and the veterinary care associated with the diets and everything. So I know sidetrack. I'm sorry, but I just had to bring that up about that. Make that comment.
I tell all my friends constantly, they think I'm a nag, but I'm always like, brush their teeth every night. Who wants fur on your teeth? You need fur on your head, not on your teeth.
Absolutely. It's so important. I mean, even for us, I think they say that all diseases start in the gut and the mouth.
Yes.
So with the gum disease and everything,
Right.
but keeping your Puccini's mouth very clean definitely helps him stay very healthy.
Thank you. And he takes probiotic in his breakfast food that I cook every morning.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
I'm sorry I got you sidetracked. Please get back onto your travels. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, what I wanted to say is, I know that you've been in Anthony Rubio's New York Fashion Week. So how did you make it to the Paris Fashion Week?
No, it wasn't Anthony. It was Funari. Funari is a fabulous Italian, eco-friendly line, and she has been using pets and she's the only one I know of that makes eco-friendly pet wear, which is really great. Her fabrics are out of Italy, and they're made from crushed bottles and all this amazing junk that we accumulate. Right. So I've been very proud of being able to direct her shows and having Puccini walk in some of the shows and meeting all these beautiful supermodels. It was the first time a pet couturier and human couturier has ever walked the runways at the Paris Fashion Week. So I was very proud to have been able to direct that show as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Now, was it something you had to apply for, or did they just reach out to you?
She reached out, yes. I have known Janelle Funari for a little while now. We met in the pet world, like you and I and everyone else that I know that are such wonderful pet parents. From all of our fundraising events and catwalks and things. And a lot of people know my background, and they know that I've directed other pageants and fashion shows and judged all over the United States for dance competitions and things like that. So I guess word gets around.
Absolutely. So the Pet Passport, was it an organization you went through? How did you get that? That's so cool.
No, it was very cool. I'm so happy to have gotten this for him. It's you have a lot of anxiety, going to Europe and then coming back. You're always seeing yourself in handcuffs because you might not have the right papers or whatever. This just makes it a little bit easier when you're in Europe, because you can travel all over from country to country and use this. But it has your list of vaccinations in here, and rabies. Rabies is mainly the number one thing that most of the countries want, I feel.
Okay.
And a really funny story, when I was coming back home, I was so excited that I had gotten this pet passport. So yes, baby. So when I got to TSA and I was coming through the gates to United States, there was this big burly guy with his machine gun, and he's like, "Let me see your papers." And I'm like, "Oh, my pet passport. Look, I got my pet." He's like, "I don't know what a pet passport is. I want to see the rabies papers." I'm like, "Okay, I've got those too." Mm-hmm. So I was laughing. When I'm traveling, I've got like 5,000 papers here. Mm-hmm. You know, I just cover all the bases and take everything now.
That's good.
You know, I have a complete folder. I tell people, you know what? You never know anymore. It should be regulated, which is what I helped them do 1,000,000 years ago. But people in the airline still need a lot of education, mm-hmm. because every time I fly, it's different. Every time I get on a plane, the rules are different. So you just have to roll, be nice, do whatever people say for you to do, and travel will be, you know, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where did you get the pet passport?
So my friend Jamie and Jada, she had called all the Paris veterinarians. She wanted to see which one was accredited and which one spoke English. So those were her two questions when she would call each veterinarian office in Paris. And she found this one man, and he was nearby where we were staying. And we made an appointment, and off we went. It was $75 for the checkup and for the passport and all the stamps and things inside. And they attached all the photos and all that.
So the veterinarian gave you that?
Yes. He was I forget he was the accredited veterinarian.
Okay. So Dr. Bryant, I wonder if all accredited veterinarians give that.
In Europe only.
No,
not in the States.
Yeah, Europe. You say, in the US, we don't do those.
Exactly.
You only get those in Europe.
Yes.
That's the only way. And it's great for you, Leslie, with Puccini, because it sounds like you have definitely traveled to that country quite often, backwards and forwards. So it makes a whole lot of sense for you to get that pet passport.
Yes.
For your routine people that maybe one trip and they don't do it often, it might not be ideal to get a pet passport for you in those circumstances. So, but for you, with your travel history with Puccini, it makes a whole lot of sense for you to do it that way. I like also, though, folks need to understand too, and you mentioned you have the pet passport and you're coming back to the U.S., has all the information about the rabies vaccination certificate. It's awesome. People have to realize, though, when you go to another country and come back, you again, make sure you meet those requirements. And it was easy for you on that one because where did you go again? I'm sorry. You said Paris?
Yes.
Yes.
Depending on the country, if it's a high risk rabies endemic country, your requirements coming in will be a whole lot different. And you can't turn around and use that same document. If you're going to, I'll give the one that I know is positive for rabies. You go to Egypt with a health certificate from the US and go there, very likely you're going to have a lot of trouble coming back because that's kind of one of those countries that have high risk for rabies, and CDC's requirements for coming in is really stringent. So just be aware of it. Research your countries. But in your situation, like I mentioned, it makes sense for you to have a pet passport. But some instances, it doesn't make sense. So just realize that if you're a frequent flyer with your pet, definitely get one of those. Definitely.
Yes, like we're going to Italy in 2 weeks, and the pet passport will cover him, which is just fantastic.
Yeah. And another thing too, Leslie, if you don't have the pet passport, you have to get a health certificate for each country you visit. Be aware of that too.
And it's a lot of money. You know, it will add up.
Yeah.
Different, USDA paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot. Well, not to go through.
Now, Miss Leslie, you had mentioned in a couple sentences back that you had made some changes for the airline industry. So I wanted to give you a chance to explain on that. How did Petunia help regulate the airline travel as we know it today?
I'm very proud of the work that I did with the help of some really wonderful people. When I was Puccini here, hang on, let me get him regulated. There we go. Okay, so when I'd moved to New York, it was 1999, so this is a while back, and I had two little poodles, Poopsie and Petunia. And they were my constant little companions and traveled everywhere with me. But I hadn't really gone overseas a lot and things like that. It was mainly domestic. And I'm from Texas originally. So I was always traveling from New York to Texas to see my grandparents. And it was the first time I was flying back to Texas. And I was on TWA. And normally, I knew never fly in the summer because it's too hot. And at that time, if you had two dogs, you could not fly in the cabin with them. They had to go in cargo. So as much as I hated that, I said, oh, please tell me the temperature's regulated. And they said, yes, everything is good. And off we went. And I usually always went direct, but this particular flight, it was September. So I thought, well, it won't be as hot. And we had to stop in St. Louis for 1 hour and then on to DFW in Dallas. So when we got to St. Louis, I saw one of the baggage handlers had taken the carrier out of the cargo hold and put it on the runway. And for some weird reason that day, the temperatures were really hot. It was probably in the high 80s, and you could see the steam coming up off of the tarmac next to the plane. And I was beating on the windows and begging the people at the counter, please, can they please bring my dogs in or let me go out or put them back on the plane or something. And they just said, we're really sorry, we can't do anything. Oh my gosh, it still makes me upset. So we got to Dallas, and one of the flight attendants, he was so sweet. He said, I'm so sorry what's happened. I'm going to run and personally bring them back to you. And when I got them, Petunia, oh, so sorry. Petunia had passed away from the heat exhaustion, and Poopsie was barely alive. So I got them immediately rushed to a vet, and the vet was horrified. And I came home on the flight back, and I had to bury her in Texas, but then I flew back with Poopsie. We got her stabilized and healthy again. And when I got back to New York, I had a very, very good friend, and she was the editor at Time magazine. And Jane was a super, super animal lover and contributor to everything known to mankind for animals and pets. And she was horrified with this story. So we immediately together wrote a letter to the Doris Day Foundation and to Tippi Hedren, who also had a huge animal sanctuary in California. And we wrote to Senator Lautenberg in New Jersey, and he was our sponsor and went to Congress with this story. And we got the regulations passed for the Safe Animal Travel Act. And that's how all of this regulation for airlines came to be today as we know it. I think we all need to go back to school again a little bit. There's some things I know some of the flight attendants aren't quite sure of or aware of.
But I'm really sorry you went through that, but I'm very happy that you made those changes. And I think they're very important. I know a lot of regulations came after that, where the airlines must report to the Department of Transportation in reference to if there's any animal illness, escape, or death upon their airline, on a commercial airline, that's reportable. And then if something happened, it goes to USDA Animal Welfare will investigate the situation. Trust me, Leslie, I'm very, very knowledgeable about that whole process, and to say what's changed over the years, to be honest with you. One of the things I've noticed as far as in the role that I have is that I'm very familiar what's going on with the airline industry. As far as I can tell you for Delta.
Yes.
I enjoy the role that I have because I am there to enforce those animal welfare regulations and ensure that everyone's on top of that. If there's a situation where an animal becomes ill, we respond quickly. We have policies in place to make sure that animals is taken care of. We're actually more stringent than most airlines. We don't go above 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. Great. And I've had someone recently ask me why, or they said that other airlines will bend the rules sometimes. I said, we don't do that because the safety of the animal comes first. Right. That's what we care about. And if it delays you in your travel and it's an inconvenience, well, we're sorry, but we care more about the safety of that animal than anything. So I love the role that I'm in. I love that I can really help enforce those animal welfare regulations. And yes, it's changed over time. But those stories like that are embedded in a lot of people's minds to this day that, oh no, never do it this way. But if you actually research the DOT reportable events, you'll find that there really aren't that many over the years. And I can tell you from say 2016 to 2022, there were, say, 1.7 million animals transported by cargo, pets transported by cargo between, say, 15 airlines, and only about 170 animal incidents. And again, that's going to be your escapes, injuries, or deaths. 170 out of, say, 1.7, did I say million? Million, yes. Mm-hmm. So not as much as everyone thinks, but I don't want to definitely minimize that one that it happens to, because it's extremely important. That one case should make the airline change reevaluate their policies so it doesn't happen again. And that's what we're about with Delta.
It's so funny. Just recently, I had to fly down to Charleston for a vacation, actually. Mm-hmm. And one of the flight attendants, she said to me, "Oh, you have to take your dog out of the carrier and walk him on a leash to the airplane, to get on the airplane." And I said, "Really? That's new to me. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about that." And she's like, "Well, just sit over there." So she had me sit on the air conditioner unit by the window, before you board the plane. And another flight attendant came over and she's like, "No, she doesn't. What are you talking about?" So, it's still like,
it's a lot. There's a lot of training internally. And I'll just say the airlines are so huge. If you think about the different aspects, and I have to explain this as far as with Delta, and I'm sure other airlines too. Yes. There's policies for in-cabin and there's policies for cargo. And you would think it would be one umbrella that takes care of all, but it's the airline is separated out. So it doesn't always apply that way. So I have more, you could say, input on cargo than anything with Delta. The other aspect, I can just advise, but I can't enforce them to do anything because just the way the structure it is and everything like that. But education, I think it will help the pet owners if we all said the same thing. And I say this all the time with them. If we all said the same story, same policy, same things, people wouldn't get frustrated if this one allows you to go and then all of a sudden this one follows the policy. Let's just stay on the same page with it, and it will help the consumer. You won't be upset if you knew that there was a requirement for sizing, in cabin sizing, and it was enforced all the way through, it would be great. But what happens is someone will let a big dog go in there that crate that's too big, too small for the dog, and then yeah, that little baby right there, yeah, that's a perfect size for a dog in cabin.
Exactly. Yeah, a big 6-pounder.
But yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I hate that there's so many discrepancies on the policies. I mean, number one, there's different policies between airlines, and then within each airline, you might have one person saying one thing and another one saying the other, just as you described. So
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, Leslie, I want to give you my no matter what the circumstances is, when a pet dies, it is devastating. But when it's at the fault of someone else, it's horrendous. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that your poor Petunia had gone through that. And so I wanted to share my condolences with you, even though that's probably a decade late or something like that. But I'm very sorry. But I'm glad you used your anger to change, create change. And I want to thank you for being a champion for Petunia. If it wasn't for you, things wouldn't have gotten better. So you were the start of a whole lot of change that's happening today, that we see today. So thank you so much.
Well, I would do it this way. If you weren't for you, I might not be where I am right now with this role as an airline, seeing that there is a need for a veterinarian. So thank you.
Thankful for people like you, Dr. Nelva. I'm so happy that you do what you do too, and you try to understand everything. And both of you doing these videos for people, and we can look back on them again, it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I told you this whole hour was going to zip by. We're going to extend a little bit of time with you because we don't have the pet parents on so often. But let's go to something fun and happy, because I know you have a bunch of trips coming up, and you've teased us a few times about Italy. So please tell us about your trips that you're planning to Italy, South Carolina, Miami, Las Vegas.
Yes, I'm so excited. Traveling is always such a blessing when you get to do it. It's always been on my bucket list to take Puccini to Italy, hence his name, Puccini,
Yes.
I have a good friend that's a doggy designer, and she's made him a really cute little Italian flag colored collar, and he'll be dressed to the nines. You'll see a lot of those pictures, Greta.
Oh, yay.
And let's see, then we have a fashion show he's in Miami, and then we have Super Zoo. We're going to Super Zoo in Las Vegas. Are y'all going to be there?
Oh, yes. So we'll see you there.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, that's excellent. Yes, I'm going back again this year. I love it. And we have a few things we're doing while we're there. And then we want to go to Sedona afterwards, just for some serene sanity, And then
Absolutely.
Back to see.
Yeah.
Well, if you need us to help you promote anything you're doing at Super Zoo, let us know, and we'll create some marketing so that people know to come out and see Leslie and Puccini.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm going to be helping with the Funari eco-friendly dog line, actually. She'll be there, and I'd love to introduce you to her.
We would love to meet them. Yes, absolutely.
And we're big with Pet with Paws, and we're Pet with Paws.
What were you saying, Dr. Bryant?
We have a few questions here we have a few questions that folks are asking. I don't know if you see it on the Facebook Live. Do you want to just those real quick?
Sure. Leslie, we're so sorry. We're trying to be more attentive to the questions and comments that come in. We get to talking, and then the thing's over, and we're like, oh, we should have addressed them.
Yeah.
So yes, go ahead.
It says that It says for countries that will quarantine your dog for a length of time. Actually, I don't know if their countries will do that, but they're saying there are quarantines. Yes,
Yes.
depending on destination. It says you got. Thank you, Greta. I don't believe there's an at-home quarantine available.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. These
I know
animals will
Sweden
be,
is an issue, though. Sweden is my heritage country, and I know they do. It is a little bit harder going to Sweden and England and a few places like that. Probably my most harrowing, is that a good word, trip was to Bermuda. And I have to tell you this story really quick. Since Bermuda is a British country, we were going on Norwegian. So Norwegian paperwork, it was like this, but it was easy. Filled it all out, no problem. Got it stamped, and off Puccini went. We dock in Bermuda. It was probably about 7 a.m. And I was having breakfast with a couple of my friends. And all of a sudden, this official taps me on the shoulder and said, "Are you Leslie Riddle and your dog Puccini?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Follow me." I'm eating breakfast. And I'm like, "Okay, is everything okay?" And he's like, "Follow me." He was very serious. So he takes me out to the dock. We go off the ship into the customs house, and there behind the glass enclosed structure was the official, whatever you want to call him. And he said, "Let me see your paperwork." I said, "Here." I had everything and then some. And he's like flipping through. And he's like, "Where's the rabies shot?" And I'm like, "Oh, here, right here." And it was scary. That was probably the scariest time I've ever had, interrogation wise,
Right.
And
Wow.
then finally he stamped it and said, "All right, go on."
My gosh.
And then I got to go back and finish my breakfast, and then the whole ship was allowed to leave. I held up the whole ship from getting off.
Well, that's what happens when you're a celebrity.
Yeah, right. That's funny. But anyway, that was probably the worst time. Otherwise, it's always been really easy, very pleasant,
Well, let's see. What are some of your favorite tips or tricks that you would like to share with our followers as a frequent, traveler?
Well, the good thing, one of the best things nowadays is you can always find an airline in the airports, the puppy potty spots now. It's really nice. I love the airports that have them available. So make sure your doggies have weed and done their business before you get on. I usually hold the water back an hour before getting on. And for some reason, Puccini's probably flied so much, he now knows. He just gets on the plane and sleeps. I offer him a little water, some food. He doesn't take it, which is not like him. He will eat at the drop of a hat anything you give him normally. But he knows on the plane, he doesn't eat, he doesn't drink. And then when we get there, he pee-pees right away as soon as we get off the plane. Take him outside or in one of the little places for the dogs to pee-pee. Also, make sure you have an airline bag that's approved. He has that. I like the ones that are rectangular and they zip in the front so their little heads can be out. Those are nice. And if anybody wants any tips or links to anything, don't hesitate to write me.
Fantastic.
So you guys probably have 1,000 links on your own page.
Uh, no, that's quite all right. We do recommend actually some carriers as well as crates.
Yes,
Because with the crates, we only recommend IATA compliant crates,
right.
which there are three. One is Impact,
Mhm.
another one is Magnum, and
And
what is the third one, Dr. Bryant?
Pet Express.
Pet
Yeah.
Express.
Yeah.
So those are IATA compliant crates. And then the carriers we recommend are Sherpa,
Yes.
Pod, and I believe those are the only two
Right.
because of how well structured they are, the
I use the
materials.
Sherpa. I like the
Yes,
Sherpa
sure.
also because it's so well ventilated. I
Yeah,
like the ones that have
Hmm.
four sides
That's a
of
lot of people
ventilation.
forget. Hmm.
You know,
Be well
people
ventilated.
don't think about that, but I don't like the ones that just have two sides. I like all four sides to be ventilated if you
yeah,
can find
yeah,
one.
absolutely. When you, I know we briefly spoke prior to us going on about how you make your own food for
Mhm.
Puccini, and I have no doubt that adds to your dog being so healthy. But
Yes.
when you travel, how do you work out the food situation? Do you package your food a certain way, or do you get food comparable to what he's used to that is prepackaged and easy to travel? How do you handle all that?
That's a challenge. The food issue is definitely a challenge. I freeze, I have the little freezer packets, um, you know what I'm talking about. And I put his
Yeah.
food in that, and it usually lasts for a full flight,
Yes.
even overseas. Everything stays nice and cold in my luggage. And then it's cold under the plane too,
Hmm.
which helps, I think. And then when I get
Okay.
places, I can cook for him.
Okay.
But in a desperate situation, he loves kangaroo, and I have a couple of companies that make kangaroo. And all my friends tease me how much he loves kangaroo. It's low fat. It's one of the most low fat meats,
Mhm.
especially for these little guys who are prone to pancreatitis and things like that. So I
Yeah.
have a few cans of that also for backup.
Okay. Okay. Great. Um, let's see. So when I know you mentioned that you work with an accredited veterinarian and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
let's take Paris Fashion Week. So you know that Paris Fashion Week is at a certain date. As a pet parent, when did you start the whole process on the paperwork? Because I think for a lot of pet parents, the timing of everything throws them off.
Yes, that can just
So
drive you
did
crazy, give you gray hairs, and make you want to pull your head off. So everything has to be done 10 days prior to your traveling. So I had to, first, I warned my vet that we were going to do this. I said, "Is he ready to go?" And she said, "Yes, he's all up to date with everything, and rabies are good, and his microchip is a 15 number microchip,
Mhm.
which is different than just the domestic ones. So
Mhm.
people have to know that
Mhm.
also. And
what is the difference?
there's, oh gosh, Dr. Nelva, you probably know
Yeah.
this. There's one with
Yes.
7 or 8 numbers that's
Yeah. Well,
domestic, and then
there's a
15 for international.
it's the ISO, and it's gosh, I
Right.
forget what ISO stands for, but
Yeah.
it's an international standard
Yes.
that's recognized worldwide. You want to have that type of microchip in their system, and it is 15 digits long
Right.
compared to some other ones here in the U.S. that might be as smaller. But guess
Yes.
what? If you get the other microchip and it's not the ISO compliant one or the ISO number that's needed, you will have to bring your own microchip reader with you to
Right.
identify your pet, and that's in everything. So, and you know, for certain countries, depending on where you go in Europe, you have to get the microchip done first, or on the same day you get the rabies vaccination.
Right.
So if you get the rabies vaccination and then get your pet microchip, you're going to have to repeat the rabies vaccination again. There's a lot of little details.
A lot of details.
See, with you, Leslie, again, because you travel often with Puccini, you're set. That's why it's easy for you within 10 days, get it done. But your average person who decides, if I decide right now I want to travel out of the country with my dog, I got to get a lot of stuff done and make sure it's in order. And it's going to take more than 10 days. So just be mindful of that. For you, it's easy because you got your pet passport now. You got everything in order. You've done it frequently. It's easy for you. But your average person who's never traveled internationally, it's going to take more than 10 days. A lot more.
We had a couple of girls that were going with us, and it was a little hairy getting everything done for them. Yeah. Actually, one of our girls, she actually had to fly the day after we all did because her timing was off.
Yep.
Yeah. I wish there was like a clear-cut like schedule, that you could tell people. But, like you said, Dr. Bryant, depending on how often the pet parent travels, and depending on how healthy the pet is, it can, really make a difference on, the flow of the schedule and keeping up with the timing. Because I think one guest had recommended people start at least 6 months before their trip, just to get everything done and coordinate everything.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. Goodness, look at the time, guys. Going on and
on. I know.
Wow,
you have to come back, Leslie. Yeah. You have to come back. We didn't even touch all the banners we have set up for you.
I'm going to answer one question that Ada Neves keeps asking.
Ada Nieves. Yes.
Nieves. I'm sorry. Ada, When Pets Fly is something that Greta and I have developed to share pet travel education to pet owners, and that was the initial start of it, and we've expanded further. So just want you to know, if you have any questions regarding traveling with your pet or any other animal, please let us know.
Well, Ada is a
plug in my computer here. I was losing battery. I guess that's an hour.
I know. We can't lose you. But Leslie, we would love to have you back because with your experience and expertise in traveling, you're a wealth of knowledge. And as you were talking, so many questions came up in my head. So we just have to have you back so we can touch on other things about you and Puccini and your adventures. You guys should have your own a book. Leslie and Puccini Take on the World.
There we go. Let's do it. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to reach out to Leslie and Puccini and find out more about their adventures, you can keep up with them on social media. You see that Leslie and Puccini have an Instagram account together. And then on Facebook, Leslie has her very own and Puccini has his very own. It's so great to have you, Leslie, and you are really a wealth of knowledge. And at these pet conferences, you should hold your own seminar. So maybe the three of us can work on that. Yes, we'll work on that and have everybody ask you guys questions and from a medical, standpoint, scientific standpoint, and from a real world life experience standpoint. I think the two of you would be able to have a fantastic show.
Thank seminar. You so much. I'm not sure about all the medical terms, but I'll leave that to Dr. Bryant over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any last thing you would like to say?
For sure. I can point everyone where to go.
Yeah, so do we. Is there any last words that you would like to share with everyone, Leslie?
Brush your baby's teeth. Enjoy traveling. Write me if you got any questions. I'm here.
That's
I'm going to Italy. Won't be here at the end of May. Yay.
Don't hurt you then.
We'd
Yeah.
love to see
And what
photos.
about you, Dr. Bryant?
Yes.
I have nothing else to add. Thank you so much, Leslie and Puccini, for being here with us and sharing that information. And thank you for that. I'm really sorry with Petunia,
Yes.
and I'm very happy and thankful for your advocacy and how you spoke up to make a change. So thank you for that. And again, if it weren't for you, I probably wouldn't be in the role that I'm in. So thank you.
I bet you would.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you would.
Oh.
Thank you
Well,
so much. I'm so honored to have been with y'all today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
So again, we are going to, after you get back from Italy, we're going to schedule you to come back and talk with all of us and tell us more about your adventures. And we will begin to teach more pet parents about the proper procedures and what they should be doing, because it seems like you're an expert at that.
It'll be my first time to fly with the passport. Whee!
Yay! Oh, well, I'm so happy you got that. That is fantastic.
It is. I think
well,
I
everyone,
have a good Italian stories to tell y'all afterwards.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank our audience for joining us as well. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach Dr. Bryant. If you have any other questions about traveling, you know where to reach Leslie and Puccini. So this is the end of our extended Pet Parent Edition, and we will see you all next time. Have a great day. Stay there, Leslie. We're just going to end this.
Bye.
Hold on. I pushed end session, so you got to just let me know.